Let's head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Dave, Cleveland is known as Brownstown, with fans talking about Browns football all year long. This all started under the leadership of Paul Brown, who took average players, with the exception of Jim Brown, who was an instant superstar, but a team of average players who loved the game of football, worked hard at their craft, molded together as a team, and won many championships. Then came Art Modell, who was lucky to have teams of Brian Sipe and Bernie Kosar, who kept the fan base interest high until he sold the team away. Then Jimmy Haslam arrived, and he sprinkled in false hope by acquiring the likes of Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield, Odell Beckham, all which have failed. Now we have a roster and coaching staff that looks great on paper, but in reality, the defense and special teams that cannot play fundamental football, and the coaching staff who are unable to scheme or coach these players to play fundamental football. Luckily, we have an offense with a great line and great running backs, and now our hope is on Deshaun Watson's return. So my question is, if Deshaun Watson cannot lead this team to a Super Bowl, well, as the saying goes, the final nail in the coffin, will the fan base leave and convert over to the Guardians and Cavs, who have average players who play the game with passion, and which I believe will result in a championship very soon?
All right, as always, appreciate all the voicemails. Fred, I want to see what the offense looks like with Deshaun Watson, because it's looked pretty good with Jacoby Brissett, and I want to see what Kevin Stefanski's offense looks like with an elite-type quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard when he does come back, that they could be done by the time after 11 games. That's why this juncture's so critical. I feel like they had to come out of this 4-game stretch at least 2-2. They're 0-1, so you have 3 more tough games. The Patriots took it to them last year. You talk about a team that runs the ball, and the Browns could not stop the run last year, and Stevenson just ran them, over, and he just coming off a game where I think he had 141, 160 yards. He's got to be licking his chops. Then you have the 2 games with the Ravens and the Bengals. So they got some games that they have to stay alive, or it'll be a moot point by the time Watson comes back. I also think by that time he wouldn't have played in almost 2 years. It's hard to think that he's going to immediately, step in and not be rusty. But with that said, David, I said earlier, I think Jacoby Brissett has exceeded my expectations. This team has lost 3 games by 6 points. And I believe that Watson, if he would have, been able to practice and play in preseason and just start the season like normal, they would have won, at least 2 of those 3 games, because I think he's that much more explosive in putting points on the board. In other words, they played the Jets. They're ahead 30-17. We know what happens, but I think if Watson's playing, they're ahead at least 37-17 in that point. And the Falcons down there in that dome, you lose by 3 points. I think they'd have put up more points as well, and even last week. So take your pick. I think they'd been probably 4-1, 3-2 at the worst, with him playing. But with that all being said, who knows what's going to happen. There's 2 things in football. Very simple. Who can run the ball and who can stop the run. The Browns can run the ball, but they cannot stop the run. Until they get that fixed, they're going to, just be middle of the road, middle of the pack. So that's why I think, all hands on deck to figure that out.